Hey guys, welcome to a couples Q&A. And there's a little intro video. And then...
What's a little intro video?
Guys, we've been trying to get around to this for the last 2 weeks. I'm sorry, but here we are now. We're gonna do it now.
Yeah, these questions came from Instagram. I asked on my Instagram stories if anybody had any questions for a couples Q&A, and these are the questions that I received. So we're gonna go through and answer them. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, my handle is Blair Blogs. There's a link in the description box below. There always is. And that is where I always ask for questions for Q&As, whether it's a couples Q&A or it's just a Q&A for me or a Q&A that's Disney related. So if you like that kind of thing, go follow me on Instagram so that you can be the first to ask a question next time.
What is one characteristic you wish you could steal from each other, physical or non-physical?
I would steal your musical talents and abilities.
Yeah. You like them?
Yeah.
Okay. I would steal your way to how good you talk. See, the way you're so good at talking on camera. I would take that.
Okay.
And it's probably like because you use your hands to talk so much. I don't. It's probably something about that. When they keep your hands still, you have to like push them out with the hands. I would steal your efficiency of talking on camera and just efficiency in life overall.
Okay.
Question number 2. When do y'all plan on having kids?
We're not pregnant now. We'll let you know.
You'll know.
Whenever the time comes, when it's right for us. For now, we're just happily married and enjoying our time together.
Yeah. We won't hide it from you.
No.
Was it difficult when you first decided to stay home and have your blog/Etsy store instead of working elsewhere?
Okay, so that question is directed at me. It was difficult in the sense that moving is difficult and leaving all of my friends was difficult, but I have wanted to be an entrepreneur and run my own business for a long time. And so that was a dream come true. So that wasn't difficult in the sense of fulfilling, like it was such a dream, a fulfillment of a dream. But the moving part and not having my community with me anymore was definitely really challenging. That was very hard. And it's hard to grow a business, like to start an Etsy shop from scratch, to start a blogger mentorship program from scratch, to start this YouTube channel from scratch. You know, all those things plus my blog, like it's a lot of work and it's time consuming and that kind of thing, but not difficult in the sense of like misery. The misery stemmed from not having friends.
Not having even co-workers.
Yeah.
Which that helps a lot in being completely alone.
Yeah. So that, I mean, yes, that side of things was difficult, but I never have, that piece of the puzzle up here has been my very favorite part of living here, has been that I've been able to build, you know.
Focus solely on work.
Yes.
How did you cope with living in a new place once you were married? I think moving to where we first moved in the tiny apartment in literally a field.
Literally a field.
That was very hard, right?
Yeah.
Moving here was also hard, but at least it has thousands of more people around, even if they're not your friends. That was like literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it was stark.
Far from my work, there was nowhere to buy shoes in town, which always freaked me out. I was like, where do these people buy shoes?
So Riley's talking about when we first got married, we moved into an apartment for about 8 months or so before we moved into this house here. We had been house hunting, hadn't been able to find the right place for us, so we lived in this apartment for 8 months, and it was literally in a field of sunflowers, the apartment was. It was really charming, but it was
isolating.
Very isolating, and I already felt isolated. It was not, those were not my favorite 8 months of my life.
Hard times.
Hard, yeah.
So how did you cope with that?
I just focused on work, and I started an Etsy shop, and I just obsessed about work, which is probably not the healthiest way, but it's worked out.
Yeah. What is your best advice for resolving arguments? And I say to immediately start resolving it immediately after the argument, because you want to walk away and not talk to them. But that just prolongs it and makes it worse, and it can go on for days or longer, so immediately start some reconciliation.
I agree. I think people say time heals all wounds or time is the only true healer or whatever. I completely disagree with that. I think time makes people really bitter and makes people really numb depending on the person. So for some people, if something, a really bad argument happens between, their spouse and them, they'll, over time, by not dealing with it, will just become numb to their spouse and numb to their emotional side of their relationship and just not really address that. And some people will just become bitter and resentful. But neither of those are an engaged, healthy marriage. And so time heals all wounds is I just don't agree with that. I do think that things lessen over time, but like I said, I think a lot of that is just becoming more numb. And I'm specifically talking with regards to like an argument or like something like that. With like death and things like that, the time heals, that kind of wound thing might be more applicable, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Not for marital arguments.
Not for marital arguments. Time is not what you want. You want to deal with things.
Time's not on your side.
Yeah, you want to deal with things, in my opinion, quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like hold each other's hands. Like we were taught by our counselors to, if we were mad at each other, to, even if we really didn't want to, the last thing we wanted to do was touch each other, to hold hands.
Yeah.
And so.
It's the worst thing ever.
Physically hold hands and then verbally shake hands.
He's talking about our premarital counselors. We went to premarital counseling before we got married, and they would always tell us this. They're like, just hold hands when you're having an argument. It is so hard for me to do because I just don't want to be touched if I'm upset. But
I think
it makes me laugh when Riley tries to hold my hand when we're in an argument. It makes me laugh, so I guess that's helpful.
I think it's a middle child thing. I don't want things to be, I want everyone to be happy and like in a good mood, so I'm like, let's just get over this.
What are you saying? Like, as an oldest child, I like discord?
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't like anything going on. Like, I'm like, let's settle this now, settle this between y'all or whatever. I just want it to be back to where
harmony.
I can goof around.
Yeah, that's true.
It's my whole life. I'm fighting to get back there. All right, what do you two like to do for stay-at-home date nights, aka evenings when you're both free to spend time together? We can always use new ideas of fun things to do at home. So if you're looking for recommendations,
I feel like we have a lot of recommendations.
I would recommend you go like to the beach or go to a nice restaurant.
That's not a stay-at-home date night. I was gonna say we have a lot of recommendations because all of our date nights almost are stay-at-home date nights because we live in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing to do here.
There's only unhealthy food here, which is great. So you can order some of that and stay in and watch TV. Or we cook together a lot.
Yeah, we do cook together a lot. That was what I would have said. Cook together, watch a movie together, watch a show together, watch live PD together, which is a favorite of ours, and maybe take a walk.
Yeah, that's very nice. Mm-hmm. We like chill.
We do that a lot.
Chill things. How do you ensure you regularly discuss finances? It's an important conversation, but not the most fun. We don't ignore it ever because we can't, because it's very... it changes a lot month to month, so we have to talk about it.
Yeah. And
not just talk about that month, but what that means for the next month and what we're going to focus on next time and like all these things. So we talk about it regularly because out of necessity, but also, we like to talk about planning trips and fixing up our house and doing things, and when we have guests come in town, all the things that require money, which is everything. Yeah,
Riley's income is fixed and mine is fluctuating, and so that is a piece of our conversations a lot is, I have busier months and I have slower months and what that means and what that looks like, and just, it's an open conversation for us. I don't think anybody maybe some people, I don't think we love talking about our finances all the time because it's, it's something that you have to work through and figure out what you're doing and where you're going and that kind of thing. But we do it. We have the conversations we need to have to move forward so that we're on the same page. We really are on the same page with regards to all of that. That's not to say that we've never had a disagreement on any piece of the financial puzzle, but specifically with regards to spending and things like that, we're really on the same page.
Yeah.
And we know.
I mean, neither one of us were ever financially irresponsible.
Right.
We're both pretty responsible.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's helpful, but how do you ensure
if we both had fixed incomes, we'd probably
talk less.
It would be much more of a fixed budget.
Well, we would probably talk less about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Did either of you have debt when you got married? Thinking mostly in regards to student loan or car debt.
So when we got married, I did have student loan debt that we paid off as quickly as possible, and neither of us had car debt.
No. If you could redo your house, how would you design it? Hardwood floors, new cabinets, better outdoor space. We are going to put hardwoods in here.
So when we moved into our house, it was a new build, and so we were the first owners of it, and it's hard to move into a house that's new and want to change anything or tear anything up because all the materials are brand new and it just feels like a giant waste of money. So when we moved in, they had put in this kind of white cream colored carpet in the living areas, everywhere but the bathrooms
the
and
dirtiest
kitchen.
areas.
Yeah. So it's not ideal because it's white. And so, you know, we've done what we can, but we are looking forward to putting in hardwoods in at least the most high traffic areas. So that's one thing we would do.
We do, yeah. I mean, if I could redo every
I know, it's
piece
like,
of flooring, I would.
what's the...
But
like, if we had
mainly,
unlimited budget, we could do anything. I would add a second story to the house. I would, like, there's a lot that I would do. But if we're just talking about, like, improvements that are more reasonable and moderate.
Paint.
Maybe paint. I'd like to do board and batten in this room. Hardwood floors.
Outdoor space, we just got obsessed about yesterday because we have just a blank back. We have a small backyard, but we have a patio that's covered, and it has electricity running to it. So to do a fan and a table and have a grill, we really want to do that this summer. So we'll do that before we do anything inside because it's it was new when we bought it, so it's all completely fine. But we do have plans for.
Yeah, we're really thankful for that when we moved in, it really was like turnkey or whatever you want to say.
Didn't need any.
Move in ready. We could just move in and everything was good to go. But, you know.
Blinds.
As with, except for we had to buy blinds and that was such a pain.
Still haven't bought.
As with anybody, like we have things we'd like to do. We'd like to do, you know, wood flooring over the carpet and all that kind of stuff. But for now, we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, if we had designed a house.
If I had my own kitchen, if I was designing a kitchen, I just want everything to be as white and beachy as possible. So I would have the whole kitchen be white and just like, that's what I would do. And our kitchen is like, has like a brownish, like grayish brownish. It's like a pretty wash of cabinets and granite, and it's just like a little bit darker. It's very Texan. It's pretty. I like it, but it wouldn't have been my first choice. I would have done white.
Yeah, I didn't look at it and like hate it, but I was like,
no, it's nice looking. It's nice looking.
The backsplash is the same tiles as the floor.
The backsplash is so silly. They just literally took the floor tiles and just slapped them on the wall.
They got a good deal on tons of that tile and put it everywhere.
But we're grateful for our house.
Yeah.
And we're excited to make tweaks and changes to it as time goes on.
Every change we make is so fun.
Yeah, it is.
Marriage tips and tricks.
Get premarital counseling. I've said this in like 10 other videos. I think premarital counseling is super important.
Yeah. I
think have fun together, laugh together, find something that you both like to do together.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it, but marry somebody that you really like to be around. Is that a marriage tip? Don't marry somebody you don't like.
I feel like that's a good marriage tip. Like if you're dating and someone's driving you crazy, don't marry that person.
No, seriously sit down and think about it.
Like think about whether that's the right person to marry, because you're going to be around them a lot and make really big decisions. And so you want to make sure you like the person.
And like spending time with them.
Yeah, and like spending time with them. Also, I think like our personalities, we literally have opposite personalities like on every personality test. Like for example, on Myers-Briggs, I'm ISTJ and Riley's ENFP. And like my little thing is like fact-based, like very like research oriented and these kinds of things. And Riley's is like really enjoys harmony and just like wants everybody to have a good time, and life's too short and can find, you know, we're just really opposite in the way that we view the world and experience it. And so we have very different hobbies on our own, but we found a couple of things that we both love doing, and we capitalize on those things and we do those together as often as possible. And I think that's really bonding for a marriage.
That's a good tip.
Because it can be hard to find, especially if you're two different people. A lot of spouses are like that, where they don't have tons and tons of overlap, but finding that overlap is so important, because not only just getting along, but getting to do things together. Yeah. Is really, those memories are so sweet.
Trips are a really good
we both love to
equalizer
travel.
for us.
And Disney, we love going to Disney.
Yeah, thankfully we both like that, because that's a really good thing to do together. Take a month out of the or a week out of the year.
I wish it was a month out of the year.
What advice do you have for newlyweds?
I would say surround yourself with healthy marriages. Intentionally find other couples who are in committed covenant marriages, who are committed to one another, who are committed to making it work. You want people in your life to speak into your marriage on days when you want to just freak out. You want to have friends who are going to say, I think you need to think about what you're doing wrong. I think you want to think about approaching it in this way. I think you're being too harsh. Like, you want people to speak truth to you and not just be like, girl, you don't need him, leave him. You know, you don't need that. You don't need that. And so that would be my tip for newlyweds, would be to seek out and find other married couples who have marriages that they're fighting for, that they're healthy marriages, healthy relationships, because that is so crucial, I think, to the success of your own marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think when your marriage is new, I don't know how to put it, but like, spend a lot of time together and like really put a lot into the first year or so, because you can always draw back on that if you have I think everyone says the first year of marriage is rough. Mm-hmm. And I thought ours was pretty. Did you think it was rough?
I thought the circumstances were rough, but I thought our marriage was pretty great.
Yeah, because I think it was good that we say that we're glad we were in a tiny apartment, because it forced us to that was, I mean, it was a good thing. If we lived in a big house and we had different rooms, I probably would have just left arguments a lot more and spent more time on my own. But we really spent a lot of time together, and we had a lot going on, like trips and stuff, and we really spent a long time together.
Yeah.
When we first got married.
Our first year of marriage, we probably argued more than the next 2 years combined.
Yeah, we had some long nights.
Some long nights, and I just want to say that's normal. If you're newly married or if you're about to get married, your marriage isn't going down the tubes. It's not, there's nothing wrong. When you have two individual people with two different personalities and two different backgrounds and perspectives coming together, it's hard sometimes, and it's hard to learn each other, and it's normal to...
Especially when we didn't live together before we got married, so there was a lot to learn.
Yeah, there was a lot to learn, and it wasn't easy all the time. And I was in a really low place emotionally, and I didn't have a support system anymore, and it was... like, I couldn't put myself in a worse environment to thrive.
Yeah.
I was isolated. I hated where I lived. I had no friends.
Didn't have like privacy to call anybody.
It was a tiny apartment, so there was no it was like...
It was 2 rooms.
It would be the opposite of what I would imagine would be good for me in any circumstance, but certainly in the first year of marriage. But the Lord knew what he was doing, and God really put us in that place and stretched us as a couple, and we had to learn how to communicate.
Yeah, that's true.
We had to learn how to communicate, and I had to learn how to put my emotional distress aside and not just cast that all on Riley all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been very different if we lived in Austin or somewhere, because if you had friends, like, you could have like left and gone for a long time, and like... Yeah. It would have been good in a lot of ways, obviously, but...
It would have been easier, but I think this was better.
Yeah, it works really, really well. Living in that little apartment before we bought a house really helped us in a lot of ways.
It really did.
Miss that little place. Well, I don't miss it. But...
I don't miss living there, but sweet memories there.
Yeah.
Because it was just those early days of marriage, just trying to figure it out, and it was
forging
just...
2 people together.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, 2 becoming 1 is not a joke. It's hard.
Yeah. What place have you traveled gave you the best memories together as a couple? The second trip to Disney, I feel like... yeah,
I agree with that.
The first time we went and we stayed, it was just not... The second time we went, we stayed on site together, and we knew we liked resorts because we went to a resort for our honeymoon, and really loved that because we both want to just relax our minds, because we both have a lot going on here, and going to a new city and like doing all these new things is not as relaxing as a resort, we found out. So when we actually went to Disney World and stayed there and did it as a resort vacation, it was really great.
But yeah, those were some great memories.
And now we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like to explore new cities and stuff, but not so much as a vacation. More like a trip.
Yeah, that's like a trip. If we want to go on a vacation, we go to Disney. To us, that is a vacation. I understand that some people are like, it's so much walking it, but we just think it's really fun.
because of the resort style feeling. Until a better thing than Disney World
The
comes along.
all-inclusive, like not having to pull out our wallets and things.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Awesome.
having a wallet on you and, not having, all different things. What's been your most favorite date you've ever been on? Our first date was great.
Oh, our first date was great.
Because it was 9 hours long, and it just went a lot better than I thought dates could go.
That's cute.
Because it just kept going and going into new locations, and that was a great date.
Yeah, that was a good date.
And the date right after we bought this house, went on a really nice date.
Oh, I think that might be my favorite.
That was a nice one.
Was it on Valentine's Day or was it right before?
It was on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so we closed on our house or something.
We closed in late March, but it took a month to do that, so it was in February when we...
But we were under contract. I really don't remember the timeline, but basically we knew
They accepted our offer.
Oh, okay. So they accepted our offer on Valentine's Day, and so Riley's like, let's go out to dinner, to a nice dinner, and also it's like Valentine's Day, and so we went to this really nice place in Denton called Hannah's. Off the square, and it was just lovely, and we were so excited. I was so excited to move into a house and get out of that teeny apartment, which we did love, but yeah.
But we saw this house and we loved it immediately, so it was fun to get it. But I think that our first date was great because it was our first date and it went great. And the second one was fun because of the house and like the circumstances, but I really loved going to the Four Seasons and having brunch, because that was an anniversary thing. It was no huge thing in life like buying a house or anything like that. It was it was an anniversary, but that was just
that was our first anniversary.
Yeah.
First anniversaries are such a milestone.
Yeah.
They're such a milestone.
Yeah, and so much had changed because we had a house that we loved. We went to had a really great brunch, and it was like way out of town, and we had the day off and stuff. So that was a really good date.
Yeah, that was a great date. I loved it.
There's been lots of good dates. Outside of Disney, where was your most favorite vacation trip?
Our honeymoon.
Yeah, the Bahamas.
The Bahamas. It was so beautiful.
Really different. Like landing and walking on the tarmac. Like it was just small little airport. It was cute.
A little island. Oh,
very different from other vacations.
I miss that water all the time.
Yeah. When did you know the other person was the one for you? Like what moment did we know the other person was the one for us?
I don't know.
I liked you a lot before our first date because we'd been talking for a month or so.
Yep.
Then yeah, like on our first date when we saw each other after a few years, because we hadn't seen each other in a few years. That was the first date was like a huge thing. The first date was really. I went home that night and wrote in my journal that I had met my husband. Like I knew already. But this is how I think I knew so well. Before I dated Riley, I dated someone for about 2.5 years, very seriously, and like was on the verge of getting engaged, kind of serious, very seriously, and. This is nothing against this person. He was a fine person, but it was a situation where I never, like, where it was there's just something never felt quite right. Like I was just always a little bit unsure. There's always some doubt in our relationship, and there was always some lack of peace and just kind of anxiety about our marriage, and I just had so many doubts and so many reasons why I wasn't sure and all these kinds of things. And so I broke up with him and then started dating Riley a few months later, which that whole timeline is a whole other video. That's just like the craziest thing. But as soon as I started dating Riley, I had this peace, and it was that whole when you know thing, which I thought was so stupid when people said that before I met Riley, but now I completely understand. I had such a peace in my heart and soul about getting married. On my wedding day, I mean, you can look in the pictures and you can watch our video. We have a wedding video, like, I was so relaxed. I wasn't anxious at all. I didn't have cold feet at all. I was just so excited to get married. And it was because I had that peace. Like I just knew that this was the person that God wanted me to marry. I just knew this was the right relationship for me. I just knew. It was such a contrast to how I had felt dating someone who I dated for much longer than I ever dated Riley before we even got married. And it was such a contrast. Yeah. It was such a contrast. That feeling of
just assurance and knowing and just complete peace versus doubt and kind of feeling tumultuous and being unsure, and is this the right thing? And I never ever felt that with you.
Yeah, it was no like settling feeling at all.
No. I was just so excited to get married. I couldn't wait.
Me too.
So I hope that answers your question. I'm very like logic oriented. I don't usually make decisions based on feelings, but this was a time when I had a peace that I can't explain. Like I just knew.
Yeah. I don't know when exactly it was, but it's pretty early on.
Yeah.
Any advice on moving in with a significant other?
Lots of advice. I don't know. We didn't move in together until we got married as a personal conviction, between the two of us.
Yeah.
And we really thought for us that was the right thing. And I'm glad that's
it was hard.
the course we took.
It was hard though. And it would have been, it'd be hard no matter what.
I personally believe and feel like a marriage commitment and a marriage covenant is so sacred and so holy and so different than any other kind of relationship that the world has to offer, that once you have entered into that covenant marriage relationship and you have decided on forever together and you've decided to walk through life together, come what may, the whole richer or poorer, sickness and in health, like all those, no matter what happens, deciding you're going to do it together. Having had that first, and then for us moving in together afterwards, for us was the right order, because it was saying, I'm not going to leave you when you drive me crazy.
Yeah.
From living together with you, and I'm not going to leave you when we get into arguments about finances, and I'm with you. And so having it be A and then B for us was the right order. And so outside of that, if you are married or if you're not, and that you chose a different path than us, that's fine. And I think just communicate and be gracious and put yourself second and not first, and think about your partner, your spouse first. Which is so hard.
Think about every single thing you do. And like my little tics that I had for I would leave a rag in the sink.
Yeah.
Because that's just what my family does for some reason. But like
a cloth,
just not conscious, just unconscious.
In the sink soaking wet.
Just unconscious of it. I had to think about every single thing I did, and I was like, is this obnoxious? Because I'm just loud and I move around and I make a lot of noise. And I try not to. Which,
that might drive me crazy, but I also like a quiet, silent house, which drives him crazy. And so we had to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
We had to meet in the middle. So I hope that you can find some nugget of advice in that whole spiel. But
really,
just putting yourself second
is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
You can't go wrong there.
Yeah, if you're selfless.
Think, am I being annoying? That's what I do all the time. Sometimes I still don't know. How did you figure out how to live together functionally after you got married when you didn't before? How did you test out your compatibility for the long run before cohabitating with someone? I don't think there's any test you can take to figure out how compatible you are living together. And if we took that test, we would fail.
We would have failed it. To me, that's so secondary. That is so secondary to our marriage relationship. And so if we have decided to be in a marriage, then we're going to figure out how to live together.
Yeah.
There's no trial run.
And all that, the things that we would fail because I like to play loud music and do loud things, and you like peaceful stuff. But me giving up those things is good for me, spiritually and personally. And you kind of giving a little bit and all that giving and taking and compromising is really good for your relationship and for you as a person to not just do everything you want to do all the time. Because I think we were both very independent people before we got married.
Yeah.
Because I was 29, so I lived the way I lived. And Blair is very independent too. So having to mesh that and make sacrifices, but also find new things that you like. I don't think there's a test you can take.
No, I don't think there's a test you can take, and I think that...
our love and commitment to each other...
Our commitment over our love.
It didn't matter.
At times.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's an important thing, is like the world says, oh, you just have to feel love all the time. And if you don't feel love, then you shouldn't be married to that person anymore. And that's the biggest load of baloney I've ever heard in my life.
You'll never be happy if you just do what you want.
Marriage isn't about making you happy all the time, and marriage isn't about just what you can get out of the relationship. And so sometimes it's hard when Riley wants to play loud video games and have friends over and things, and I want the house to be quiet and peaceful, but it's too bad for me. I got married. And so I decided to put myself, second, and I decided to make my spouse more important than me on the day I got married, when I took those vows. And I just think that there's a strong movement that if you don't try out, if there's not a trial run, that your marriage will not be successful. And we're living proof that that's not true. We have a really healthy, happy, joyful marriage. And we moved in together on the night of our wedding. And we never lived together before then. And it wasn't easy, it was hard, but our commitment to one another was first, and that we had entered into a marriage commitment and a marriage covenant, and that was the first thing. And so from that flowed figuring out how to give and receive love, flowed how to live together in a successful, happy way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, the first thing first was that we were committed to each other in marriage.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to live out, but it's possible to live out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've broken up with people for much less.
Yeah.
Than what I've gone through, because I was just like, I don't have to deal with this, so I'm not going to. And
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely, and you grow so much whenever you do that.
Yeah.
You stick it out together.
Our premarital counselor said that before your wedding, you were like a jagged rock, and then going through marriage would smooth you out, basically. And over the years, you would just become like a smooth pebble. And I see that in myself. And I see that in you over the past 3 years of both of us are, like Riley said, independent, very stubborn, very strong-willed, and we've both been able to let go of some of that.
Compromise.
And I think
But it's all for the better. I don't miss anything.
No.
I don't miss blasting loud music all the time.
I think I'm a kinder, more selfless, more thoughtful person since I got married because of the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah, the last question. What's your favorite thing to do other than go to Disney? We have a lot of things that we like to do. Mm-hmm. We like to watch dumb shows and talk about them while we watch them. We love to cook together. We love to go on walks together, plan trips together, talk. We talk all the time.
We talk so much.
So we just like to talk. Both of us like to talk.
I think it's so cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. My favorite thing to do is just to be together.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
We just have so much fun. We laugh so hard. We have so much fun. Our house truly is a house of joy and laughter. And people say it all the time when they come over, that they can just feel in the air. Like, people will say, your house is just so peaceful. It's so joyful. And it's like, it's because it's full of laughter. Like, we have fights and we have issues and we have disagreements and arguments. We're a normal couple. We're not perfect. But on a day-to-day basis, like, we fight for that joy and just to have fun.
So our favorite thing, sorry. No, I completely agree. It is very fun to live with you.
Oh, that sounds like you're being sarcastic.
I know. No, I'm not being sarcastic. But just, yeah, we have a lot of things we like to do. The list goes on and on. But mostly just do whatever together. Whatever forever.
Whatever forever. Look at Charlie.
I know. A little bowling ball face with 3 holes.
Look at me, you got he figured out exactly how to be in frame.
I know.
Alright, well that's the end of the questions for today. I hope that was interesting to some degree. I would love to hear about you and your relationship and your significant other or your sweetheart or your spouse or, you know, whoever it is. What do you guys like? How would you have answered some of those questions? I would love to hear from you.
Those are good questions.
Yeah, those were great. Thank you guys so much for asking them, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.